Hi, I'm Sean Whent. I'm your host here at the Whent There Cruising Channel. We recently returned from a Mediterranean vacation on the Sun Princess. It was a great adventure. We've done a couple videos on this already. We did one which was the hits and misses of the Sun Princess. I'll leave a link to that below. That's specifically a critique of the ship itself. We did one that is a walkthrough. It's a tour of the Sun Princess, and I'll leave a link to that as well. And then the other one was a overall review of all aspects of the cruise. Well, that's what I want to take a deeper dive into today. One of the categories in that video is specifically the ports and excursions. And that's what we're going to show you. So the cruise started in Piraeus, or Athens, and the first week of that took it all the way to Barcelona. So we're going to jump into the stops that were on the first leg of the trip. Let's get into it. So the first excursion was called Chania and Botanical Gardens. It was booked through Princess. Like many excursions, you do leave on a bus. And the first stop was the Botanical Gardens. So what this shows here is sort of the welcome center of the Botanical Gardens. So inside there is a little shop. And then beyond that, there's this outdoor patio area that overlooks this area there. It was really very beautiful. It was maybe a 40-minute drive, 35-minute drive to get there from the port. But really very, very pretty, and it was good to go early in the day because it did get pretty warm there. But after the actual hike through the Botanical Gardens, they bring you back to this little area here where they did serve some snacks or food that was actually pretty good. And so it was not a bad start to it. But this ends up being, you end up walking down to that little valley you see there. And it's not a short walk. It is probably, I would say, better part of a mile, maybe, well over a kilometer, and a lot of it is steep. So there are steps in places or just dirt. But in any case, they have multiple different climates here, or because of where it's at, they can grow things that would grow in a tropical or a subtropical or even an alpine climate. And so when I initially booked Botanical Gardens, I was thinking like flowers and things like that, but what actually is, it's really kind of plants and trees and stuff from around the world. And so, things that you would never expect to be growing on an island in Greece are growing here. And most of it was shaded due to the height of the trees, but, they're growing bananas there. You'll see mandarins coming up, but some pretty plants and flowers. And it was just a really neat, sort of tranquil experience. If you don't mind the fact that it was steep in places. And so I guess if you are mobility challenged, I would not recommend this excursion. We did see several peacock. There's one there running around, but we saw some with babies, and there was actually quite a few out there. So there was a little bit of wildlife to see on this, but really very peaceful. And if you don't mind the walk, it was a great excursion. Here, going through this little vine tunnel. So, really very picturesque, very pretty. There's that little wall there made of, clay and pots and various things like that. Looked nice. So this was not, again, what I was expecting, but it ended up being really pretty. There you can see the mandarins that were growing, so you wouldn't expect oranges to be growing there in Greece either. And you can see some of the sort of makeshift steps they have. Then here they got grapevines growing up over the little archway there, so that was neat as well. And of course, this pathway takes you back up to that little welcome center that this started. And from there, you go back on the bus and another half-hour drive or so to the town of Chania. So here we are walking up to this church, which we'll go inside in a second. Statue there. So there's there's restaurants around here. There is shopping. This church was nice. I think we actually saw some more impressive churches later on in the excursion. Not this excursion, but later on in our trip and some of the places we went to. Absolutely incredible. Mostly in the second leg of the trip. But this little shopping area and shopping/restaurant area is right down here by the water, and it's just incredibly beautiful. So you can see it looks like a little harbor area, and so little small boats in there. But just blocks and blocks and blocks of small little shops. Some of it's pretty touristy stuff. So, nothing super excellent, but some good food there, local food if you want it. This area here, you can see the old wall from when the city was walled off at one point. It's been invaded and taken over a number of times throughout its history. So it was interesting to learn about that. One of the challenging parts about this is you have free time here, but you also have part of it was a guided tour, and it was very difficult to hear the person because it's a large group in a crowded area, narrow pathways, hard to hear people, but it was a neat experience. We enjoyed it. The next stop on our tour was Bar, Montenegro. So this is after a sea day, we made it to Bar, and there we had the wine heritage of Montenegro. Now, Montenegro Bar was not a port I was initially super looking forward to, but we took about a 45-minute ride out to this winery, and you can see it's inside the mountain there. It's actually carved into the mountain. At one time, this was an airport hangar, and so the military used to have this as a facility. They used to store airplanes inside here, obviously to protect them from attack. But I guess 20 some odd years ago, the military sold it, and this winery, which is in that area, bought it, and now they use it to store wine. Very little pretty entry there. That waterfall is not, it's an artificial waterfall, but it was still very pretty. But you can see, you go inside here, it's all cave or carved out of the cave, and it is all cemented in. But it's very temperature controlled, obviously being inside the mountain, and you can see the volume of alcohol they have there. And then they had this little model that you can kind of see the vineyards around there, kind of model the whole area. But it was pretty informative, and of course their guide there did speak English, and I'll let you listen to him now.
These are big casks, big barrels, 5,000 liters. Producer is Garbelotto from Veneto. Only red wines will you find here on the aging. Every single barrel always needs to be filled till the top. We don't let the level go down. In these two barrels here we have Marcellan from 22. In 2013 we made one of our best premium red wines, blend between Marcellan, Merlot and Petit Verdot. And ladies and gentlemen, what we have here in these barrels.
So from there, the tour continues, and we went into this wine tasting room. It's kind of a board room, which I guess at one time was like a military briefing room, but of course now they use it for wine tasting. Our tour group was actually pretty small. I want to say it was around like 16 or 18 people. So it was a pretty small group, so you can see they don't actually have that many places set at the table there. But you did get a little snack there. We did 4 wine tasting, 2 red and 2 white. And I'm not the super wine connoisseur, but people we were with were. The next day, the next stop on our tour was Corfu, Greece, and that starts with a tour of Old Town, and you can see that here. This little area here of Old Town I thought looked kind of French looking, but ancient buildings here, and mostly a shopping area here. This is like a little bistro thing in this little area, but then there are some churches there, obviously, and a lot of shopping, kind of touristy commercial things, clothing and t-shirts and knickknacks, soaps and various things like that. So lots of options and blocks and blocks and blocks of it. So a lot of it kind of looked the same from one street to the next. But imagine if you actually spend enough time here. We did get some free time here as well. Which was nice. Into a little snack at one of the little bistros. That was good. On the edge here, this is one of the 2 forts here in the town of Corfu. This is Corfu, and this is the newer of the 2 forts there, and that one's like 900 years old or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, pretty impressive with a little moat around it and everything like that. And from there, the tour went up to the mountains. But before that, you had to pass the Corfu airport, which literally here, it blocks the street off while a plane is taking off because of the street crosses the very end of the runway. So I guess for safety, while a plane is taking off, you cannot cross that path. So I don't think I've ever experienced that before. But like I said, from there, actually we went to the winery before the mountains. So there's a winery here, a nice little thing. So initially they give you some little tea drink, and then they take you in this little building over here on the left that shows you, their old process for how they actually made the wine. And then you can see the vineyards actually, off there in the distance. So it was pretty neat to see the old equipment. Not only do they make wine here, they actually also make olive oil here too. So both of those are produced here in this facility, and you can see, what that would look like. That little machine there, they would basically put cows there, and they would walk around in circles and smash the grapes. There is, a little photo area you can do out on the edge of the vineyards, and really quite pretty. And so then they did have wine tasting there. From there, we went up into the hills, and you can see from the bus here just absolutely stellar and amazing views. I can't imagine, what it would be like to have one of these houses here and be able to look out at that view every day. It's just absolutely incredible, where the Aegean and Ionian seas come together there. We were going up here to a monastery, which I'll show you shortly, but some very narrow passageways through there. Now you can see that here, where I don't think there's more than an inch or two on each side of the bus. I think our bus driver should have won an award for being able to navigate that. But then they take you to this monastery, which there's like the rectory building or whatever next to the monastery that's right there. And I'll show you in a second. It was relatively impressive. But on the pathway up there, there was several restaurant or viewing areas where you could look out over that incredible view we were just seeing. And honestly, I would have rather preferred to stop at one of those as opposed to coming to a monastery, which is pretty similar to all the other ones that we see everywhere else. So as nice as it is, I think I would have liked a chance to see some of that incredible view of the Aegean and Ionian seas. They're just absolutely amazing. So that was impressive. And then, you make it back to the port there at Corfu, and the security area there is a ways away, so you got to walk back to the ship. The last stop on this trip was in Messina, Sicily. And so we had a Mt.aetna and Taormina tour there. And so it was about a 2-hour bus ride from the port up to Mt.aetna. So this little parking lot, and then this building there, there's a restaurant inside there and bathrooms, which are needed after a 2-hour bus ride. But showing you here this just incredible view from up here. So this is at about 6,000 feet. I think the top part's like 11,000 feet, something like that. But this viewing area here is around 6,000 feet. And just you can see down to the water. I mean, it's a little hazy because there were actually volcano eruptions going on, and there's clouds as well. But several points during our time up here on Mt.aetna, you were able to hear explosions, which were from the volcano itself. So that's a little unnerving, but I guess they said it was safe. But you can see all the volcanic rock around here. It's all black. And so obviously at various times there's been lava here. Apparently there's not been an eruption that's affected this area in quite a while, but it was actively erupting on the day that we are there. And then there's several other buildings around here. There's all kinds of shopping and more restaurants, and there's like a cable car or gondola thing that actually goes up to the top of the mountain from there. We did not do that. We only made it up to this portion here. Like I said, it's around 6,000 feet. What we did get to do, though, was go inside the little building that's there. You can see that here. Like I said, they gave us cannoli there. When I learned that cannoli is actually plural. The singular is cannolo. Did not know that. But that was really pretty tasty. And then from there, they take you out to a actual volcanic crater. And so you can walk around in the black dirt. And we had, I want to say, a better part of half hour of time on our own around here. And this is where I was able to hear a lot of the explosions. And I listened to a lot of the footage that I recorded, hoping I could, get one of those in the background. You'd be able to hear it. But it really was not that audible, or I happened to not be recording any time that an explosion went off. But like I said, you could hear it echo, right? Like through the hills there, you can hear the echo of the explosions. So really kind of weird to walk around in a volcanic crater, but really definitely worthwhile experience, and pretty windy up here too. I mean, it was a warm day, so the breeze was nice, but I would definitely recommend this excursion. I thought it was neat to go. I thought it was neat to hear the explosions. I mean, I don't think I've ever been up on a actual active volcano before, and so it's a little distressing, but also incredibly beautiful as well. And like great views, and speed this up here, but all right, great views up here at the top. And I don't know how many miles it is you're actually seeing, or I guess I should say kilometers if we're in Italy. But you can really see quite a distance. I'm sure if it wasn't as cloudy or hazy, you'd be able to see even better. But I really thought the view was quite impressive from up there. Took quite a few photos. And like I said, they did give you time on their own there. So that was good. And there was a souvenir shop up there too. We didn't actually get any souvenirs there, but if you do want to buy some souvenirs, there's several mt.aetna type souvenirs you can get there. And then from this volcanic crater that we were at, you can look up here and see that's the top part of mt.aetna there. So now, interesting, later in the day, they told us they actually closed this area as well. So I guess we sort of dodged a bullet. From there, the tour went on about an hour bus ride to Taormina. And Taormina is an old city, but it is kind of a shopping area, and I would say more of a upscale shopping area. There was like a Louis Vuitton store and places like that, so some pretty pricey places. Very classic hotel there, the Excelsior Palace Hotel. I have no idea what it would cost to stay there. I'm sure it's pretty pricey. But looking over the side here, you can see a lot of private yachts down in the harbor. So I'm sure that some very, very rich people were having a nice time down on their yacht near Taormina. Really neat place. There are some good restaurants up in here too. And so we mostly stayed on the main drag in Taormina, the main row with most of the shops, but there are all kinds of little side alleys and things like that along the way. Here you can see they had a Ferrari and a Lamborghini out there that apparently you can rent them for an hour or 2 hours or whatever. And it was a few €100, I think, to do that. So, I guess it's not cheap by any means, but it was not, I would say for a once in a lifetime sort of thing. If you really want to drive a Lamborghini, then you could do that there. But there are super, super narrow roads, so I don't know that I would even be comfortable driving a car that expensive that I rented in a place like that. So, option for you if that's your thing. But this is sort of the entrance going down to the main shopping area. So that first opening plaza is, well, I guess that's what it is. It's kind of a plaza. But on the other side of that archway there is where most of the shops are. So there's this big fountain here. It's sort of the main starting point inside that archway. You see some stairs that go up. From here, there's some stairs that went down. We found a little pizza place that our tour guide had actually recommended. This is it there. It's just down the steps from that little fountain area, but really phenomenal, authentic Italian pizza. So really good. Considerably cheaper, actually, than some of the pizza places that were up on the main drag. So I think if you're willing to walk down 100 steps, you get a significantly better deal. But you can see this is kind of what the main row that looks like there. Lots of shops, some very modern things and some more, historical or more kitschy things as well. So, and really old buildings. But what was really neat to me is just some of the little side alleys. And you could see little restaurants down there and some bars. And I just really bet that some of those places would be good. Here in Taormina, we only had about 15 minutes or so of guided time. And then we had about an hour, maybe a little more than that, of free time. So we had some time to walk around and take a look. And then just another little plaza area here by another one of the churches. We'll speed past these people, but you look down and see more yachts and boats and stuff down there. Just absolutely stunningly beautiful. That's the backside of that hotel we showed you earlier. I would love to come back to Taormina and just spend some actual time there. So it was a great experience all around. But that wraps up the first week of this thing. So then from there, an hour bus ride back to the Sun Princess, and we'll be showing you more in part 2 of this. But subscribe if you want to see more Mediterranean adventures on the Sun Princess. Thank you.